Good afternoon. I am in a space to continue these talks in this series from my trip to Europe. And I guess I'm still fired up, and um, I am really affected by so much that's going on in this country, like it seems most of us are. But I think it's necessary to begin to deal with the things that really matter and not so much that's on the surface, but I think it's necessary to deal with the origin of things. And here recently, I have um, been inundated so much with dear friends, with organizations, even pushback is one, who send so many tapes and footage of uh, basically police brutality and other things that affect us as black people. And it's always look at what this policeman did to this young black boy or young black girl, and isn't it a pity? Isn't it a shame? And you know, I think it is necessary for us to begin to have a balance, to begin to balance things out, because um, to look at things in one way and what somebody else is doing, it is okay, but I think it's necessary to really look at the origin of things and how it got this way, and also what really can be done. Let's look at solutions. One thing I deal with in the area of police brutality is thinking about how did this come about? And my mind go back to the 60s and the 70s when things were changing for black Americans. And we began to open up in terms of job services and employment, and cities began to get black mayors, black policemen, um, and there were so many civil rights leaders and other people in the black community who were saying at that time that um, in order to do it correctly, black people needed to govern black people. Black people needed to protect black people. And if we're going to have a policeman in the black community, they do need to be black. And it wasn't listened to, it wasn't adhered to, but it is something to think about. Because I don't know how we then and now can expect for white males to care about a people who they have been taught down the line through white supremacist ideas. And you can talk all day about, oh, these are new times and this is 2020. Well, I remember in 1996, people were saying this is 1996. things still the same. I remember in the 1970s, people saying, oh, this is the 1970s. Things still the same. So what I'm saying is, after you have had families of white policemen, uh, a lot of time of the Irish and the Italian stock, whose great great granddad was on the police force or the police chief, and then if you go back to the theory of policemen anyway, in the history of it in this country, the police were the poor whites who, Irish that is, who were chosen to keep us in line. Just telling the truth. So when did these same police officers, offsprings of those who were chosen back in the 17 and 1800s, when did they have a conversion? Yeah, I use the word conversion because we sure enough a Christian nation. We pride ourselves in being a Christian nation. We don't want to get off into that. Okay? But when did they feel the grace and the power of God to change their lives and change the perspective and their outlook of Afro Americans over what they had been taught and handed down unto them through their families, through genes, through culture, what have you? So why is it this day we are still dealing with the fact that, oh, we got some good policemen? Why are we still dealing with the unreality that this white police officer, shaped in the iniquity of white supremacy, would care for my young son, would not slam my teenage daughter, would not body slam her to the ground in an all-out sexual way? So my premise is a call for America to stop playing games and get real. And I mean, I was there when some of the first blacks were assigned to the police force, black mayors and what have you, and we are a trying people. We try to do that which is acceptable and right, and we staunchly believe that people do change. We know people can change because we have constantly changed in order to survive and to live this ordeal, but this glorious way in this country. So we sort of put ourselves there. But it's one thing about it, change come upon those who really seek change. And we are seekers. We came here off the boats, off the ships, as seekers. You know, they talk about how we were trying to get out of the South and go north. No, honey, we were going eastward, westward, deeper south, because if you went south, that's why the Mexican-American War was fought. If they never told you, it's because Mexico was letting us into Texas and Oklahoma, and baby, we were free, okay? And that's why that Andrew Jackson, that's why some people like him now, you see, went down with John Bowie and what's those other fools' name that were killed in the Alamo? David Crockett, Daniel Boone, went down there. It was only about 127 of them, and the Mexican army just slaughtered them. They thought they could whoop 10,000 folks. See, I remember the last poets when it said the white man got a God complex. And the complex is sometimes I think, and when I speak this to and for white people at the same time. I think that white people have sometimes think that they are God and sort of get it mixed up. But what I'm saying here is let us look at it. We need to be about solutions. And when you deal with solutions, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and I don't remember 2 million black men and boys being in American jails and prisons. But I do remember, while teaching school, I do remember, and we talked about it as teachers, why are the chief of police and lieutenants interested in coming into our little kindergarten classes and first grade classes and looking at the behavior of little Johnny? And taking the behavior of little Johnny and maybe computerizing it to know that that little Johnny was being shaped into being prepared for his jail. So all of a sudden, every county, almost every other county in this country, and you can check it out. I like for people to do their own research. I do mine. From the mid-70s to the mid-2000, say up until 2000, every other county in this country were building jail hotels, brand new. They looked just like hotels. And here we have a population of well over 2 million, almost 3 million. And we miss our black men and black boys. And I don't want to be mean, but I'm sort of tired of the white PhD students coming to study why they are there and what's happening in the jail. Hell, somebody need to start studying about how in the hell did this system create this. Start from the origin. Start from the head and not the tail. I'm always talking about how America loves the stinky tail. So my solution would be is to create a program. Now, really we need to have a year of Jubilee. Some people don't know what that means, but this is a Bible country. This is a Bible country, you know. And that was a year of Jubilee. It was always the 49th year. Always the 49th year. And isn't 7 times 7 49? So there was a place in the ancient cultures where if you had done something and it was a year of forgiveness, it was the year of opening the prisons and open the city of refuge, and you could go back home. Now, why can't America have a year of jubilee? It's been a long time. We talking about creating a situation where the states opening up to marijuana, to the cannabis, and my mind go back, yeah, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. And the righteous thing to do, well, if it were nothing wrong with cannabis, if it was a medicinal plant, in which it was, and sometimes I say that it was one of the 12 fruits on the tree of life in Genesis and Revelations, Bible-toting so-called Christians. And if it were nothing wrong, then these millions should have not been locked up, and you owe them reparations. Open the prison gates and let them come back home and create a program to where they come back and protect the black community. Yeah, we got a shortage of black policemen because black boys are not interested in locking up their friends, their brothers, their nephews. Black women not interested in that, but we are interested in being mentors and protecting our community. So who are we protecting against? We might not even go there. So basically what I'm saying is the very thing that was being said back in the 60s and 70s by our great ancestors, and let me tell you, we knew what we needed to do. We knew how to solve problems. We didn't have to go over across town or down to the courthouse to know that it was important not to eat that fast food that McDonald's and KFC was putting out, and to keep on cooking good food. We did not need anybody to tell us that a child needed to be read to in the womb. I know what I'm talking about because I saw it as a boy. We didn't need anybody to tell us that, a baby needed to be breastfed and to keep them off that darn formula. You don't know what's in it, okay? So we knew. So the great scholars in our community knew that if you're going to open up and integrate schools, you needed to keep your black teachers. And black teachers needed to teach black children. If you're going to open up and integrate the police force, black policemen needed to police the black community. And so basically, here we are 50 years later, just running circles around ourselves and saying what's wrong, and still trying to get white police officers to do right. And in their mind, See, we're fighting a losing battle when you try that, because in their mind, they think that they are doing right, that law and order. When it was established, we talk about the Constitution. We still dealing with the Constitution from 1776. Okay. Well, along those lines, the police force was dealt with. I'm really not sure that police was anywhere else in the world. I think we originated police, okay? Because before the Mayflower and before the white man came to this continent, you had the constable and the sheriff, and then I'm not even sure if you had marshals, but I know in England you had constables and the sheriff. Okay, but the purpose of the police was to keep control of black people, and it must have been that you see, it was not so much only for the purpose of we don't want these Negroes to slaughter us, but it was to make sure that we did not learn, to make sure that we didn't slip and read, to make sure that we did not outdo the status quo, and to keep us demeaned and down and what have you. And so and then basically this is a heavy part, and we'll get into it sometimes. To keep us separated. To keep us from going there within ourselves and with each other to know who we really were. And they really didn't do a good job, because knowing who you are is in your DNA melanin. And so we had to can't help it. And basically, it is a time that we need to really consider how to solve real problems based upon what we got. And just like before, we got everything if we would only realize it. Thank you.